Hey people listening to me, here's Neetu Cherian back with yet another episode with the best person in my life who had been there through every thick and thin. And when I look back, I could also find that I've written her name in a book of Polo Colo, which is known as Zahir, as the most trustable, faithful friend. And this is none other than Ashia. And give it up to her. Presenting to you, Ashia Sitik. I know you also should clap when I'm clapping because this is the moment that I was waiting for to get this girl back, to get her time back, and to understand her story. See, I as a person, I am like I know her journey. I have seen her grow through thick and thin, and the person she had evolved to be, and the person she is to me, and everything. So this is my fourth guest of honor, where Buddy Stick, the guest of honor. Welcome, Ashia. So I know you will feel a little bit not intimidated, but still a little bit shy kind of thing to talk to me because we have been talking, WhatsApping, texting, everything from long time. So, how do you feel to be on my show as a guest of honor, and how do you feel when I describe you with all these things? Tell me how you feel now.
Uh, First of all, thank you so much for inviting to your podcast. And I'm really exciting. It's really exciting, and I'm also excited to see how you grew through this phase. And I'm so happy to be here right now and talking about my journey. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, so she is also a person who keeps herself very grounded. When I say it, she could have explained much more in this first question, but she kept herself low key because I have to dig her brain and get it from her. And also, she is that person who gave me the comfort of even being a good driver on a car because that is her patience level. She got me to go with the driving lessons, with many other lessons, with life lessons, and so she is kind of someone whom I'll always keep on my head and walk. So yeah. So when I look at Asia and maybe the people who are listening to me, you guys have been seeing all of us through say a period of 19 or 20 years. So my first point of contact with Asha is in Kendra Vidyalaya number one Palakkad, where she had come in as a new student, and she was so fair, and everyone was like she's basically like I mean I shouldn't use a word like that, but she was a doll kind of kid for us, who used to be everywhere, used to talk to everyone and all. And later on, I've seen her going through phases of entrance coaching and completely adjusting to a new environment, and also a person who wanted to be doctor, whose mom was a nurse, and who wished so well to be a doctor, but fortunately or unfortunately, that couldn't happen. And later on, was she took civil engineering in Kerala, at Palakkad itself, in a well-reputed college. And there is where I see the shift of Ashia, what do you say, the perfect the person that I see here today has been taken from that point. It was a complete straight line upward. Like she's the vice president of civil department, I think, and so many cultural activities and full on CGPA like 8, 9 and all. And later on preparing for IELTS, TOEFL all alone, finding the without the help of any agency, and finally landing into TU Delft. So this was a story that should have been come up from her mouth, but she kept her low key, so I had to tell. So Miss Ashia, geotechnical engineer, right now in Netherlands, who had completed her MSc from TU Delft, which is the famous college. I mean, I have nothing to tell. Your college says it all. So how do you think you navigated through all these phases? And when I see her, I see the first thing I see her is as a good human being. As like, if I want something, I text her, I call her, I know she's there. You're that person for me. So how is this journey possible? Like from a small town girl to the biggest university, what was your mental thoughts or structuring of thoughts that led you to do it all alone and reach Netherlands and still work there?
And, and thank you for like sort of briefing through the whole journey.
My
So
pleasure.
when I started my When I started my bachelor's, I would say I was in a low point in my life. Like initially when I started, I felt like this is not what I really wanted to do because I was a bio kid. So I was really uh, into learning a lot of biological subjects, and I wasn't a very math kid, to be honest. And yeah, I even scored a very low mark in my math CBSE 12th standard examination. I was like, okay, this is with this marks, I don't think I should do engineering. That's what was my first thought, and 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 accidentally I got admitted into an engineering college, and I felt like, okay, so now this is my path to take upon. And either I can do it really well, or I can just change later, like to another field or something. But but one thing was there inside me is the fact that I really liked and enjoyed learning science. And so when I started my bachelor's, I started enjoying the subjects, and it was eventually like, I started improving my math. So if you want to learn a lot of science subjects, you need to have that solid math basics with you. So you started developing your math, then you eventually your subjects gets much easier. And I started enjoying the subjects. Then after a point I felt like, okay, I feel like now I have a direction which I want to go through. So, like in my third year of my bachelor's, I felt like, okay, I like a subject which is geotechnical engineering. So I felt like, okay, now maybe I will take this upon as my further, career. That's how I started having a direction in my career. Like in my third year, I felt like, okay, I want to be a geotechnical engineer. What else can I do to be that? I started researching, I started asking people, I started going over a lot of materials. That's how in my fourth year, I felt like, okay, I should go abroad for my master's to specialize in geotechnical engineering because bachelor's is very broad. So you do a lot of subjects, but in master's, you actually specialize in one subject. So that's how my journey started. Like, I felt like, okay, I'm going to take a master's in geotechnical engineering. So that after that, I started like looking through colleges and asking people, asking my parents. You need a solid support to go abroad, like from India. You need money. You need to do a lot of practical things, and you need to have an idea. Okay, what after masters? Whether I'll get a job or whether I can excel in my career later, or whether I'll be stagnated there after a master's. So, all these thoughts like was circulating around me. And yeah, but I felt like, okay, this is somewhere I want to be. I started the whole process of going abroad for my master's. And luckily, my parents were also very supportive about this decision. And my friends, especially you were through with me for all the process during my preparation phase, and I'm really thankful about it. Yeah, that's how I started my master's in TUDEL. Then after that, I eventually got a job in the same field. So now I work as a geotechnical engineer in an engineering firm in the Netherlands called Witwen and Boss. Yeah, and it's going to be a year in November. So yeah, that's the journey, I would say.
Yes, so when I speak to her, I always have this personal side of me because even though we're going on recording, I feel like I'm talking to my best friend somewhere, and I want to pull her and come and talk about life much more than this. So I am finding it real difficult to interview your favorite people because we cannot be professional. Whatever we do, we're gonna be casual on the internet today because that is how it is. Like really, even though I had
Mhm.
prepared some questions to ask her, I am not able to pitch in those questions because she's kind of my mine. She's mine, so I just can't get over that. Okay. So I see you as a you are a civil engineer and a engineer, but do you think when you look back at India, many people, especially women who had completed civil engineering, left that field only and settled for an MBA or some other IT jobs, right? For many reasons. So, and now we are in a completely different space, landscape, Netherlands, and that would also be completely different. There, people won't be acting like this. So, as we know, in India, IT is thriving. So, whatever engineering you do, you get an MBA, or if you're a computer science engineer, you just go to IT and work there for your life. So, in this sphere, where do you think women should empower themselves, or where do you think civil engineering as a subject lacks women or something in the arena or in the field, comparing it with Netherlands? What is your take on this?
So, if you're comparing Netherlands and India, uh, like there's a lot of financial aspect to it when one person switch from a field to another. And I feel like in India, that's the main aspect where why people switch. Like having a low paying job after you did your bachelor's in something, it's like no one wants to do that. So you eventually want to find a career which pays well, but also like if you don't find a job which is really interesting for you, then you will switch to another one. So that is going to happen. And another thing is the fact that like in Netherlands, no one is pushing someone to do engineering. It comes completely out of their personal interest. So
Mm.
if someone is doing engineering and if someone is doing civil engineering, then they're really interested to do that. So for them it's very direct, and they don't have to think of a career change because they like it, they're doing it. So but in India, that idea is a bit different. Like we also take up a professional course because we find it easier to get a job after doing a professional course. So these things, it's really hard to compare, but I think that's how this switching works. Like, pays low, it's not interesting, then you will switch to another field which is more interesting and you get paid well. So yeah, I think this is why mostly like people find it hard to stay in their own jobs or in their own fields.
So, as you said, so I would like to drive upon this convergence of ideas as like uh, going through the sphere that we all have been through. After 12th, you have two options. If you're a person with good marks, you either be a doctor or you become an engineer. Fine. Life settled, professional life settled. After going to engineering, it would be mostly computer science. If it's not computer
Yeah.
science, then maybe an MBA can fill in the gap. And then if you're a woman, the next thing is obviously you would have reached 25, 26. What next? Marriage. Life settled, done with everything. So the people that I brought into this show was not the ones which this thought, because I truly believe that we as Gen Zs and millennials and everyone have evolved through it much more than anything, because our parents' generations have this thought, okay, if you're a girl, do this, do this, do this, get married, then your life starts, you'll be free. But we as a generation, we are all defining ourselves like baby steps. Like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna build an empire for myself, and I'm gonna rule in that empire. So before that, I'll make many mistakes. Like I'll take this course, that course, this course, and I'll see what works. And if something works, if something kicks out my passion, that is my point. That is where I should be. So I think these kind of people are the ones I've got to my podcast to let the world listen. Like, what is that leader that was in them, that can be their passion, which came out and ruled through the world and made them the person they are today, right? So in that way, I when I talk about Ashia, I am a person like my mom always used to say, look at Ashia, she keeps so many contacts. She is good with, like, she's very diplomatic. She's very diplomatic with everyone. Whereas I though I if I see, I'm good, but when I compare with Ashia, the level of diplomacy that she have is, I have nothing to say. I have a salute for you. So that is kind of a leadership skill which is not speaking in too much, but which is very subtle but very concreted. And what do you say? Very much understanding person that you are. So how do you think you developed this leadership quality inside you, which helped you navigate through all these small phases in life, and which led you thrive in your present situation?
I think this is a quality I got from my mother, because my mother is highly diplomatic, I would say. Like, she sets the boundaries, and she doesn't indulge in a lot of emotions. So I feel like that is something which I have noticed in her, and which I felt really, I really appreciate also. Like, because certain skills, it's really hard to develop unless and until you really see it on someone and understand the impact of it. So yeah, I think my mom sort of inspired me in that sense. So that kind of made me, develop it along the way also. And also, when you grow up a bit, you see a lot of world. Like, you see the world and you meet people, and you then realize it, like, how important that quality is. Like, setting up boundaries, and like, um, having that distance with people. I feel like that's important, and yeah, I just got it from my mother.
So, as she said, she framed the world called as setting boundaries. Last day, I was scrolling through my Instagram or LinkedIn something, and I watched this. They're just saying Gen Zs set boundaries in the workforce. Okay, but so always, since almost coming into this 1997, 1998, to that we are not millennials with Gen Z, so that that kind of kicks in when you hear like I would like to say like we're also like normal human beings except for the generation that we grew up in where internet was the go-to thing for us, whatever is there in. And I also remember this girl is the person who introduced YouTube to all of us in school. She told us there is something, let's see, it's called as YouTube. So that's the generation. And we are the people who had the first taste of all these Oracle Think quests we had in our school. I hope you remember where we used to
Yeah,
network with
I do remember.
different school like teachers and students and everything. So the first taste of technology came into us, and now people are calling us Gen Zs and we telling that we are drawing boundaries because we don't know how to deal with it otherwise. That's what I think. And yeah, and boundary setting is a very respectable thing because once you're very sure of who you are, once you know who you are, I think there comes the setting of boundaries. I'm seeing a message that this will end in 10 minutes. I'll send you the link. You can join to the next link. Yeah, so I think that's a very big quality that a person have because that helps you thrive in life is what I believe in. Yeah. So now a little bit fun session in this. Ashia is a person who cooks extremely well within a short period of time, and she's the person who helped me, who taught me to make black forest, red velvet, mango cake, and so much. So these are the things we had been doing during the COVID period, literally like baking cakes and distributing it to my neighbors. That is what we did. And so many car drives we did, like driving lessons she gave me. So she is a completely all rounder in her field and quick. If you ask her to do something, it's so quick that she does it. So I am really very blessed to have such a person in my life whom I can go to and ask for any advice. And one more thing, this hairstyle is also inspired by Ashia. So you can see how much this girl has inspired me to become the person I am right now. So Ashia, tell me, you're in Netherlands right now. You have seen different food, uh, the cuisines, everything there. So, what is your favorite go-to food in India, and how did it change when it go to Netherlands? And what is your favorite thing in Netherlands except chocolates?
um, I mean, I used to be a very rice and curry and idli and dosha person. Like, I can eat rice 3 times a day sort of person. So yeah, I wasn't very bougie about like eating like fancy things back home. I used to always eat like very basic things. And I just used to like rice so much that I just love eating rice with whatever curry and vegetables. And yeah, so I wasn't very much into like, Italian food, or French food, or like Chinese or Indonesian, or nothing that of sort. But like after coming to Netherlands, I started seeing like wide varieties of things people cook and people enjoy. So, someone who used to make just rice and curries and things like that, and I'm super basic about it. But when I went, but I do cook everything, but I wasn't much of a variety, or I didn't try things from like other countries because maybe it was also an accessibility thing, or maybe it was because at home we just didn't make it. But when I came to Netherlands, yeah, I started seeing people making like Italian food and other sort of food. Like even pizzas, I didn't eat much back home, and I just couldn't relate to people much in that level. When they talk about certain food, I just didn't know what it was. Like if they say something really different from what I've seen or had, then yeah, I just didn't know any of it. But when I started seeing people started eating like things very different around me, I started like, exploring. Eventually you start exploring things because you're outside, you have the accessibility to do that. Yeah, like I started enjoying like Chinese food. Like, yeah, I just love it. Like, the Peking duck, um, crispy pork belly, like all the udon and noodles, and then Japanese ramen and everything. Like I started making at home. Like I was that interested in exploring food and making them at home. Yeah. So now I enjoy food of all kind, and I really enjoy exploring more food also. So yeah, that was a transition I would say with food.
Yeah, and as she was making a point of rice, I truly believe from coming from Kerala, if you skip rice for maybe 3, 4, maximum one week, I think we get into that level where we crave it for so much that we can't live without it for some time. So I think yeah. So rice is kind of if you are a Mallu, I mean it goes with you. You have to eat rice. That's it. Otherwise, you feel a debt somewhere is what I feel. Okay. I'll be sending the link, Ashia, just like 5 minutes and all. I'll come out of the
Yeah,
meeting and I'll just get back. Okay. Be there.
yeah,
Thank you. I'm gonna end the meeting once
yeah.
again. So yes, we are back with the second link, talking about life, education, career curve, everything. So I was asking her about the food, her favorite go-to food in Netherlands. So as she has not actually given a to the point thing because I know she explores every food that she sees and she loves experimenting with food because I've seen her doing that, sorting vegetables, checking out all these Italian recipes, everything I've seen her doing in Kerala also. So I'll be moving on to the next question, Ashia. I know you're working, you have now built a home for yourself in Netherlands, right? So I would call it a home away home. So how do
Yes.
you think that process was? How calculative you were in going to a new country, setting up, and as I can see, like you have been the bold woman there who went there with your dreams and you have succeeded there. So that process, like of building a home away home, how do you take? How do you explain that?
It was hard, like I would say. It's not easy to like, shift from one place to another. Um, I had my own downs when I moved. Uh, I would say after coming here, I also found like-minded people to be around with. So that sort of helped me a lot. Yeah, having right company in a new place helps you like tremendously. And I found great friends here, like how I had friends in India. And yeah, I feel like I look forward for Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays to meet them after work. So yeah, that's how we have bonded. And yeah, now it feels like a home away from home now. Yes, I'm
Yes,
really happy also.
as she said, I also believe that when you go through a process of maybe first you will do, maybe you want to achieve something, you want to be somewhere. So the first thing that you could do is probably self-introspection, like to understand where your strength, where your weaknesses. And if you have many weaknesses, you're gonna work out on each of them and make it your strength again until someone asks you, what is your weakness? You should be telling, like, I had this, I had worked on it, and I'm rather now here. So, this process of self-discovery, of achieving something you want, I've seen it in a reel actually. I call it the premium side of Instagram. So it's like if you're here, you need to reach here. So this is the process. In this process, it's going to be very difficult because it will be isolation. You will be delusional sometimes. That isolation, loneliness, you have to take it because in this growth process, you got to change from a set of people who have been here to here. So what is the difference that makes? It's a mindset shift that makes it. So having this reaching here and having this kind of right-minded people around you is the next level of joy, I feel, because I've also heard some great minds say you are the average of the five people you're around with, right? So that is when I look back. I have seen Ashia as a great person because when I was in trouble, in the sense when I needed life advices, she was sitting across the table and telling me, do this, do this, do this. Everything is going to be fine. And I actually did obey her, and that was actually a very thriving part of my life. So, and also the exposure that you're getting. How do you think India, Netherlands, the differences? How much exposure, if you study in a very well-to-do college in India and very well-to-do college abroad, what is the level of exposure you'll be getting and the independence you'll be getting? What is your take on this?
It's huge. The learning curve is like steep, crazily steep. Like when I so initially when I thought of a master's, I've heard like, you have 3 days a week to do like classes and 2 days to work or study on it and things like that. So I was thinking that master's is a bit, a bit more relaxed sort of degree. But like when I came to Delft, it wasn't. It was it was like a full week of work and like weekends of assignment or like studying. And also we had a very shorter quarters. Like we have a quarter system, so every 8 weeks is
Mm,
consist of one quarter. And yeah, things were quite fast and quite rushing through. So you just come, you rush through these quarters, and like you're like, okay, I just don't have time to like process things. As well as like when you go to a really reputed university, I had a very timid, I was a bit timid, I would say. Like I was reflecting on myself whether I could do this. I think this is huge. And I don't know, like I even had a conversation with my mom saying that I don't know whether I could make it or not. Like I feel everything is just too fast paced and I'm finding trouble like adapting. Like that was also the first quarters of my master's. And I had like pretty decent CGPA in my
yeah, I know.
bachelor's. Like
Mm,
I did never like dropped below a certain level in my CGPAs. So that confidence kept me, pushed me to do a master's. But then I went to it. Then I was like really like, oh shit, I just don't have time and even time to like develop skills to support these courses. So it was just too fast for me. And initial 2-3 quarters I struggled. That's like the 3/4 of the year. I sort of like struggled and tried to find a rhythm to, adapt to the system because the system is really different. Like we are not gonna study a certain set of question papers or certain set of answers to write an exam. It's impossible to do that. In India we have a very different learning pattern.
mm,
To
mm,
shift from there to here, it wasn't just learning a derivation or learning few concepts or anything. It was like it's a thoughtful or thought provoking way of studying where you have to really understand to like write the
mm,
exam. So it was a bit stressful on me in the start, but I got adapted to the system like in my third quarter, I would say. Then I just cracked the code, like how to study. It took me 3 quarters to do that. And after after that, I felt like everything was falling into the place. And
mm,
till then, it was like a very steep learning. But I just had to like adjust to it because it was like intense academics. And yeah, but when I used to cry about it, like, oh man, it's so much to for the exam.
mm,
But I also, when I look back now, like I significantly learned a lot of things, a significant amount of things I learned from my masters, which I feel like I'm really grateful that I went through it. And yeah, so it's a bit of adaptation and working around it, but I feel like it's worthwhile to go through this. Yes.
Yes, so I think it's all about trusting the process, even if you don't see the result, you trust the process. Because I have seen this quotation somewhere, like for a bamboo tree to come out, it takes a long time. Underground, you have to get everything ready. But once it shoots out, it grows like you can't control its growth. That is how a bamboo tree works. That's what I say. Yeah, that is what I've seen. But certain other plants are not like this. Once you plant them, it grows. It reaches a certain stage, it fades away. So this is what we call by principles and value setting and everything. For you to do something, make sure that all the loopholes are closed. Trust the process. That's a very hard thing. You keep going, doing every small thing perfectly. And later, one sudden day, you're gonna see the phoenix rise up from its ashes. Like, yes, then you feel looking back, oh, thank God, everything was worthwhile. That's why I'm sitting here today. Right. So that is also about the podcast Dreams Awake and my marketing pitch I'm doing in here for my show. So that is all about this show also, and that is why I mean I invite like-minded people because if I don't invite you, it means my show itself is a failure because you have been there to see me at different phases. I remember coming, taking car, going out, shopping. The hell lot of shopping that we have done, we know. So through different phases, you're also seeing me grow. So if I don't invite you, then I think the show itself will fail on its own, like the value setting principle that I was telling on. Okay, the next question. See, for her, I have written down something because I know this is going to be very informal and I have to pinch me and tell me to go back to the form, being formal here. The next question I would ask you is about the work culture. I know that you have done an internship for some months and all in civil engineering itself at Palakkad, and you are working in a completely different environment over there. And also, one more thing I would pitch in here: how would you, what take would you take on work-life balance, women in the workplace, women in leadership position versus everything happening in India and the Netherlands? How would you describe this?
Um, I would say I have a very limited knowledge on this because I really
Mm,
didn't work like in a like a proper corporate to
mm,
really see the difference because this is my first proper, engineering role, I would say, where I'm
okay.
like a engineering position.
Mm,
And for me, like this is my reference in Netherlands. Okay, then I would talk about like what is work-life balance.
mm,
So we have like a 5-day work week,
mm,
and um, and we have a 9 to 5 job. That's like a normal corporate job. And what I have seen is that people respect other people's personal time and personal space, and even they're really respectable. They respect the fact that we have some things to do during our personal time. So you don't work over 5. Like it's
mm.
really rare to see people working after 5, maybe like a bit more hours, but like yeah, we don't really contact people after 5. So that's the level of work life balance we have in Netherlands. So yeah, if I close my laptop at 5, then I open it tomorrow at 9. Yeah. So, and also the amount of work we get is like proper enough to like to finish it in that 8 hour of work period during a day. So if something is over it, we do it in another day. So we don't really like overwork ourselves to like finish it. So everything is like it has a time. There's a good planning in place so that we are not working overtime, and we know like senior colleagues know how much time it takes for a certain task. So according to that, they set up the timetable and planning for
Mm.
everyone. So we are not working over 5 then. So it's
That's
like
that's
I would say
yeah.
like a good I would say great work-life balance.
I get it. So, given this situation and scenario, I don't think Asha is gonna come back and settle in India for sure, right?
I mean, if I get an amazing position, like it depends on my position. I mean, it's not just about money or time I more work more, but also it depends on the job. So I
Yeah.
would say I would focus on the job part.
That's petty. I mean, I don't think I'm the right person to comment over it because that is something that I was looking forward to hear from your side also because we know the cultural shocks and the cultural differences that we have seen it across. And yeah, so I asked my two questions together. One was future aspirations. Do you have anything to add towards this future aspiration of yours to this so that you can look back in time through this video only and just say I told it there.
Uh, I would say I want to be a really good engineer. Like right now, I'm at the start of my career, and so I am also again in a steep learning curve. I would say, like in terms of designing, in terms of communication, in terms of handling. So, in few years or in few decades, I want to be like a really good engineer where someone could trust me and give me something. Like,
Got
that
it.
sort of an engineer.
This is what inspires me in you that whatever she does it, she will have a plan on it and she will go to the farthest end to understand what the thing is and she pushes herself to reach there. That is a very what do you say, very commendable, very remarkable, very highly recommended a skill that you own yourself and you just keep yourself grounded every time like how much ever rise you have you know to keep yourself grounded and keep going so that's a very appreciable thing that you are on in and regarding this all my key formal questions are over because I I was thinking through two dimensions like if you were my colleague or if you were my classmate in my postgrad or my undergrad, I would have addressed you in a very different way through the journey. So that sphere I try to get in to understand your work and everything. But later on, and after all, it's coming in an informal way because it's just Ashia for me, whom I had met in my third standard, I believe. Still, so that vibe is still in here.
And the third standard.
And also, uh, okay, speaking about your work a little bit, what do you work? How do you, what is the agenda or what is the intention? You are in a civil engineering corporation, I believe, in a corporate world you're in. So, what do you build? How do you build? Which tools you use, etc. Like, if
So,
it's okay for you to share, it's so.
yeah,
Otherwise, we
I
can
can
skip.
give you a glimpse of what I do, of course.
Yeah.
So my designation is like a project engineer, but I work as a geotechnical engineer in my company. So what I mostly do is that like when a client gives you a project, maybe like a construction or a design, what you do is you do engineering calculations for the clients. So basically, like since I learned geotechnical engineering, I am capable enough to like do a engineering calculation for a certain structure. And the kind of structures I do is something like a retaining wall, key walls, a foundation, like shallow pile foundations, or any sort of structure which comes in contact with the soil. So my calculations are mostly like whether a soil could bear a certain sort of structure and its weight on the soil, whether will it collapse. We do like sort of a safety check. So
Got it.
the other engineers from other disciplines can like confidently work, design their structure. So so
Mm,
geotechnical engineers are someone who gives like a safety check on soils and say that
mm.
yeah, our soil have certain capacity and we could build it here, and give them advice on whatever possibilities we could do in that construction.
So it's basically
So
like you have the final say to construct something or not. If you give your say to them, it's like, yes, this is gonna be there forever then, right?
Yeah, but we give a say, but also we sort of tell them what we could do differently to have that
Mm,
structure in place,
mm.
or we give advice on how to improve it, or how we can make it possible, basically. So that's what we do.
So that's a great position also you're holding in your just you just entered the job industry over there in Netherlands, and what you're holding itself is a great thing, as a personality is also being replicated through in here. So this the next thing would I would like to ask you is what made you say yes to me when I called you for this podcast, and how do you think this podcast is going on now?
Uh, First thing, you're my friend, so I felt a need to say yes. And second thing, I felt like, yeah, maybe talking about the journey is not bad. Like maybe someone listens to it, and maybe
Yes,
they will,
get
maybe
inspired and
yeah, get inspired, or like maybe they develop some ideas. Like first thing I also felt in my life is that, okay, whether what I doing is right or not, it just, you don't know how to make sure what you're doing is correct or not. We just have an idea, we just don't know whether this is how people go through, or this is how people decide their path or not. Like, we are just, everything is a bit vague to us when we start a certain journey in our life. So sometimes you are just confused, and
mm.
you just don't know what to do next. So when you listen to like people talking about their journey, you're like, yeah, yeah, okay, so someone did it, so it's also possible for me. Like that sort of gives you a strength to move on. That's how I feel. Maybe like, maybe I wouldn't like inspire someone from the same field, but maybe someone else. You don't know.
So that is a great thing also, because you are actually giving back your lessons to the society so that they can analyze, rethink on their choices. Right. So this is the career centric podcast, and the intention, the key intention is itself in there, like to build a leader inside you who will lead you in the right track, who will help you reach your goal, assets and dreams awaken. And also I'd like to like bring in one more statement. Everyone is always focused on the destination, like somehow to reach the destination. But as great people always said, it is not about the destination, it's about the journey, it's about the process. If you're gonna put your eyes on 5 years from now, I'm gonna be there, it's okay, let it be there. But everything that matters is your intention pure, and are you doing the work that should be done in this second, this moment? Only if you give yourself completely into it, you'll be reaching there probably by God's grace and everything. So that is what I see in Ashia, because I remember seeing her through her undergrad phase and then a post graduation phase. And I was also, she invited me to be one of those people who would see her final presentation. And I got goosebumps seeing her, like her professor telling, like, the degree is here and you're getting so many grades, and flowers are coming in, people are coming in, and she's calling her family online. So I have witnessed this actually, and that made me like so proud, like so proud that I don't know how to explain it. So I still have the videos of her graduating. I don't know what you call it there, the graduation thing over there, and super proud. So so this is almost about the show, and we're just gonna wind up here. So this is what I would like to see. Everyone that came into our shows are are not, or who are not those people who believed I am great and I have this in my family lineage and I'm doing this. No, everyone tried something or the other very differently, and yet by failing, by reanalyzing, by accessing different resources, they all reached where they wanted to be in. So that is a great legacy that I would try to pull out from each one of you and to the audience who are listening, because that is what people are meant to do after all. Like you gotta change yourself Otherwise, it's so boring being the person that you were 5 years ago. So, thank you so much, Ashia, for joining me today. And as you know, I'm running out of questions professionally to ask you, and I'm more like trying to end the show and have some chit chat with you, which will not be recorded because I completely have this informal side with her. So, thank you so much, Ashia, for joining the show. And what
Thank you so much,
last thing
Neetu.
I'll ask, like, do you have two words to say about Dreams a Weekend? Like anything you have to like say about me also, you can tell. It's okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Neetu. I think this is the place where you can like really talk about um, insecurities, uh, like failures, and directions and passion and things like that. I would say I also had a phase where I was really unhappy about my career, but you know, having that direction really helps you to pick up things
Navigate it.
or pick up
Mm.
the pace. Yeah. And I felt like having that in my third year, like picked up the pace like crazy. I would say my thought process changed because I was a bit, like I said before, like I wasn't really happy about my career choice in the start of my bachelor's. But yeah, but I started enjoying the things I liked in that. So, things became less unhappy and found a direction and found an interest and took upon the challenge that I'll do a master's outside. And yeah, and initially it was hard, but I also found a direction there and learned a lot of things, met a lot of people, met great academic people. So I feel like this made the whole thing quite wholesome, I would say. And yeah, if I didn't feel that then, I wouldn't feel my, progress very I wouldn't feel this happy about it. But when I look back to it now, like I'm really happy about how I became to be a person who could tell someone, okay, or tell someone to live up their life more confidently and bravely, I would say. Yeah, so I'm quite happy about it. And I feel talking about it here makes it quite impactful also. So yeah, thank you so much for the stage.
Thank you. This made me remember about one statement that our class teacher when we were in school used to tell, you should live in the moment. Okay, it's not about future, past, or anything. You should live in the moment, and it's not about the materialistic thing that you possess, but it's all about you living in this present moment and with the changes, with your aspirations, with your liking. So this show is a wholesome thing for anyone to understand that everything you dream is possible, but distractions can come in, hard days can come in, but if you're gonna not quit, if you're gonna keep going, you eventually would reach there as the person that you always wanted to be in. So thank you so much, Ashia, for joining me today. And thank you so much, audience, for listening to our informal talks also, because this is a chit chat with buddies after all. And this is where my buddies take to the guest of honor. So, yeah, after this, the next series will be launched soon. So, this is kind of a notice also. So, until then, this is Dreams Awaken, and this is your host, Neetu Sharian, signing off.